Ho ho ho! It's that time of year again, folks, and I'm seeing green, red, and blue. Let's chat about Lois and Clark. Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, was a huge hit in the 90s. And I'll admit that sometimes Superman is a bit hard for me to rally around because, well, when he isn't written well, he can be kind of, pardon the pun, alienating. He's so powerful and good and pure that sometimes it's hard to find that vulnerability that heroes so desperately need. And Lois and Clark was great because they decided, instead of focusing on Superman, to ask, who's Clark Kent? And that should be the obvious route because, yeah, Superman might be the suit he puts on, but Clark is who he is. And by centering on his everyday persona and his relationship with Lois, it really humanized the character. Which isn't to say there wasn't superhero shenanigans, because this was still cheesy as all get out. It was a happy medium between both worlds, a show about romance, but also sometimes Lex Luthor's got a weather machine. Anything could happen, and the show embraced it wholeheartedly, making it a fun, enjoyable romp. And in Season 2, we got this Christmas gem, Season's Greetings.
Don't you just love Christmas?
Yeah, it's okay.
Bum bum bum. Uh-oh, nobody can dislike Christmas, it's Christmas special. Anyway, hey, remember the Jeffersons?
I don't know, Mr. Schott. I just don't know about this.
We're teaching the world a lesson, Miss Duffy.
Yes, it's gonna be one of those episodes. Sherman Hemsley and Isabel Sanford play Mr. Schott and Miss Duffy, and after Mr. Schott is fired from his job as a toy maker, he's decided to enact revenge on the world. And how's he gonna do that? Well, get this slice of Christmas magic. He's created an action figure of an atomic space rat, a beloved character any kid could get behind, which has some sort of magic spray that causes people to become greedy and childish.
Greed, Miss Duffy! The rats make the children greedy!
Written by Dean Cain.
The world is an unfair, unkind, unpleasant place, Miss Duffy. This is simply going to strip away the facade of decency and goodwill.
Now let me continue with my plan to make children greedy with atomic rat toy pheromones as an elaborate revenge plot and leave me alone, Wheezy. By the way, he's just credited as the Toy Man, so I don't know, I guess that's his supervillain name? Miss Duffy, his former secretary, is just there to have a crush on him and mildly protest his world revenge plans. These kids are about to go Lord of the Flies on this little girl here when Superman shows up to save the day.
That's too powerful! Bicycle stabbed me in the eye!
The rats go on sale first thing tomorrow morning. Every toy store in Metropolis will carry them. What a Christmas this will be!
Hey, question, if he was fired, how did he get all of his rat toys into every store in Metropolis? Meanwhile, Clark's concerned with Lois's lack of Christmas enthusiasm. And let me just clarify here, this isn't even a case of her disliking Christmas. She just doesn't like it enough for Clark's taste.
Clark, you do not have to sell me on Christmas. I'm not the Grinch. I like it a lot.
But you don't love it.
Everyone has to love what I love just as much as me. You're the reason there's a war on Christmas, Lois. I'd never get this anti-Christmas bias on Krypton. What's Krypton? Krypton? What do you mean, Krypton? I said clip-on. I'd never get this from my clip-on tie. Goodbye. Denise Richards is also here as Jimmy's one-episode flirt girl, who, like all of them, disappears without another mention or point. Look at this. Lois is so annoyed with the in-your-face Christmas stuff that she just throws these decorations away right in front of Jimmy as he's still putting them up. That's hilarious. I think Lois being completely tactless is one of my favorite parts of this show. Lois's issue isn't so much that she wants Christmas out of her life, she just wants something less superficial, to feel it from the heart. But does she love it? While this is going on, Clark is chatting with Dick Van Patten Santa about how the orphanage isn't getting enough toys for Christmas. Being an orphan himself, Clark decides to use his pull as Superman to ask the toy stores for donations. While we're pulling from the grab bag of Christmas cliches, one of the orphans is a little girl who hasn't spoken since her parents died. So sad. Look at Sherman Hemsley with his big vat of greed goo. Amazing. When you hear him talk about one of his previous toys, fuzzy failures as he calls them, you really understand what made him turn to a life of crime.
Do these words ring a bell, Miss Duffy? Mister, your teddy bears suck! We hate these! Children say things they don't always mean. Blah.
The tragic rise and fall of the Toy Man. Hard-hitting drama, folks. Because the city is going nuts over this atomic space rat toy, our intrepid reporters are sent to run a story on it. Much like Axe body spray, the room is filled with noxious, inescapable fumes.
I want that. Sorry, I had it first.
Thanks for the cameo, Mom! Courtesy of the atomic space rat, all of the people at the Daily Planet are acting like a bunch of children. And that's bad news if Superman has been kidified. Oh, what terrible consequences will we face? What will happen now that someone with Clark's powers has become irresponsible and greedy? Chair race!
Lois is in trouble. Lois is in trouble.
You stop acting like an idiot right now, Clark. Yes, Mom. And another crisis averted thanks to good parenting. I was worried there would be more of a problem here. Glad that's solved. This might seem like unusual behavior, but Jonathan and Martha Kent are used to stupid things happening around their son. As the effect of the spray starts to wear off, the three of them piece together that everyone's weirdness must be connected to the rats.
Superman!
On to part 2 of Sherman Hemsley's plan. And listen, man, I can only tell you what I've gleaned from this long and awkward speech, and I'm still confused. He approaches a bunch of longshoremen, who appear to just be armed with pipes and grappling hooks to beat the crap out of him just for entering their longshoreman territory. According to this show, all longshoremen are homeless, drunken grifters. With the promise of some quick cash, he enlists them to break into various stores and plant the rats inside. Even though it's the hottest toy in Metropolis right now? This doesn't really seem like a part 2, it's more of a first draft.
Step 3, Miss Duffy.
You're just saying numbers now. I don't understand this as a revenge plan, honestly. His claims that this will ruin Christmas are pretty dubious. I mean, we see the distributor is making huge bucks, and the stores are selling these rats like hotcakes. And by having the longshoreman army break in and place them there, they're actually giving them free merchandise. So, like, who's losing out here? I don't even see a moral lesson being learned. Greediness is bad because you're making more money than ever? Are retailers supposed to feel guilty once the greedy spray wears off? This can only benefit them. Hehehe, to villainy. And then he decides to dump the chemical in the city's water supply. See, this would be considered a part 2, let's be honest. Everything else was just an extension of part 1. Via some investigative skills, Clark and Lois confront the toy man and inform him of Miss Duffy's Dear John letter. I guess she just found all of this incredibly outlandish and complicated. In exchange for telling them what he did with the chemicals, they'll take him to see her. Was all of this greedy children Christmas ruining really worth the price? Could it be he's finally seen the error of his ways?
Well, we're moving on now. We're moving on up to the east side, to a deluxe apartment in the sky.
Hooray! Instant forgiveness. I don't mean to be bad, Superman. My mother was named Martha, too.
Mama, Merry Christmas to you, Mr. Bear.
Well, we're moving on now.
Mr. Jefferson cured this mute orphan. My God, it's a Christmas miracle. Who could have predicted that children actually love teddy bears? Not me. And Superman purifies this urine-soaked lake. Happy holidays! Amazing. Spectacular. 10 out of 10. And Lois gets the heartfelt Christmas she always wanted, foiling evil toy makers and making entire turkey feasts for herself until a coworker unexpectedly shows up.
You must still be pulling Perry around in that sleigh.
And Santa's real? I guess? Merry Christmas, Metropolis.